going to talk about minor scales today. Minor scales are a perfect follow-up to what we talked about last time, which was major scales. So let me play you a quick review, play you a major scale. In fact, that may sound familiar because it's very similar to the opening theme of these videos. I'm going to play another one for you, major. That's 2 octaves, that was G. But the most important thing to know, two most important things to know about the major scale that you learned in the last one is that it has a combination of steps. So you start with one note and then you have note relationships, a whole step, half, whole, half, okay? Whole, half, whole, half. That's major. And the other really important thing to know about the major scale is that it has a certain sound. Some people describe it as happy. I don't even think I remember to mention that in the last video. Some people think it sounds happy, maybe bright, I don't know. It really has more to do with you and how music affects you individually, is what you think these scales sound like. So here's the C major scale. Once again, and here is the C minor scale. All right. So I'm going to save something called the harmonic minor scale for the next lesson. It'll probably be a very short lesson, but for today's purposes, we're talking about minor scales, a specific type of minor scale called natural minor scale. Instead of C major, I think we should study C minor, I think we should study the A minor scale today, for the same reason that we studied the C major scale. The reason is, it is pretty straightforward and easy to remember because it involves only the white keys. All right? And now, before we get too much into it, I want to remind you of your 2 ways to reference a piano keyboard without a piano. One is to draw it. So if you're going to draw it, take out your piece of paper, lined piece of paper, turn it sideways, or pause here and go get your lined piece of paper. Then just turn it sideways, draw a line across the top, and you start to fill in your black keys. All right. You can start with a group I like to start with a group of 2. Group of 2, skip a line. Group of 3, etc. Okay, that's one way to reference a keyboard. The other way to reference a keyboard is to print it. I like this way because then you can take it around with you. The drawing is great too because you can draw it anywhere. You may not have this at all times, but this is really great because you can put your hands on it and play it. You can print out 2 or 3, overlap them, and I don't know what I'm talking about. This one's a little bit different, but it doesn't have that keyboard on top, but you can overlap them like this. Make sure you get that line right there. Tape them together and you can get a nice big long keyboard. And if you put enough of them together, then you can get a 88 key keyboard. I think you have to tape together like 6 or 7 because they overlap. But anyway, moving on. You can print this. That can be your keyboard reference also without a piano. All right, minor scales. So we're talking about A minor, okay? So refer to your musical alphabet, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, or A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. If you're referring to the musical alphabet that starts with A, I've got some good news. That is your A minor scale. All white keys starting on A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then start again on A, or that's your octave, you end on A. Now let's look at the relationships between the notes. Okay, so our first note is A. That's not a relationship between a note, that's one note. Next one is B. The relationship between A and B is called a whole step. And the way we know that is because there is a note in between. If there's one note in between or one key, then you know it's a whole step. However, here's the next relationship between two notes. There are no keys in between these two keys. There is not even one. These are as close together as two keys can be. That means it's a half step, all right? So we've got a whole step followed by a half step. Whole step. Whole step. Half step. Whole step. Whole step, okay? Whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole. This is how you build a minor scale. You can start anywhere on the keyboard and do the same thing. You could start like, let's just take this random key here. Whole. Half, okay? Starting here with your, let's call it A flat. B flat whole step. B, you know what we should call this G sharp. Okay, G sharp, A sharp, B, that's a half step, C sharp. You know what? Whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. Half step, whole step, whole step. Could you tell I had to slow down and think about that one? Okay, G sharp minor. So you've got G sharp, whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole. Okay, so let's apply that back to C minor since we already learned C major. C minor, and we want to build, okay, so take a look. I'm just going to name these steps in order, and I want you to think about what note it's probably going to be. Just look at that note that you think it's going to be, okay? Whole step, plus a half step, plus a whole step, plus a whole step, plus a half, plus a whole, plus a whole, okay? Whole step, half step, whole step from here, whole step from here, half step, whole step, whole step. All right, you recognize this piece? That's the very beginning of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. That's in C sharp minor. Okay, that's all a little bit in a minor key there. And just kind of played around with it so you could hear what it sounds like. Definitely a very different sound than major. That's major, all right? So we'll talk about something called harmonic minor in the next tutorial, but thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for learning about the minor scale, and good practice would be to just, I don't know, close your eyes, pick a random note, build a minor scale from there, all right? Have a great week, and I'll see you next time.